Ah, right. This. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another World of Warships video. And this is going to be featuring the Tier 10 Soviet carrier, Nakhimov. So this one's been requested a few times in the comment section, and figured why not just play it on stream, and if it goes well, we'll just save the highlight and upload it to YouTube. But because of this, during this live stream, I wasn't really talking much. I was pretty tired, so figured I would just mute the audio and do a post commentary on it. And yeah, we could just talk about the match. This match is going to be pretty straightforward. I mean, it gets really close at the end, so I mean, it's a pretty big nail biter. We're against an Essex, full fighter build Essex, except for Interceptor, so she has increased range and such, but it does get a really annoying matchup if you do face against a good Essex player who knows what she's doing. Slap the Shimakaze a little bit there. See that there is an Austin and a Brisbane, Thunder, Wisconsin, a lot of anti-air threats, and a Marceau as well. And on top of that, it's an Essex that we're having to face. So I was a little bit worried about this match, especially because earlier on, you can see that on the south side, on the B cap flank, everyone does end up collapsing, but a lot of complaints here and there. So I want to talk about this part right here. If you look at closely, I do ping the Essex fighters, and the reason for this is because, first of all, she's not running interceptors, which means if any planes go nearby, she can tag onto those planes. This goes for ASW as well for submarines. So what you can do is, if you notice that the Essex is not running interceptors, you can actually launch your submarine warfare, and the fighters will tag on to those planes. We have a Colombo here who just, I don't know why, just doesn't want to ASW anything except for the submarine. And because of this, you'll see later on, the Essex just has full control over BCAP. For me, personally, it's not really worth going near that side because Essex is focusing everything on that cap. I would rather focus everything that I have onto their weak side, which is going to be the north side. You see that my team is all pushing north as well. A little bit of a lemming train, but I mean, what can you do? It's just how this map layout is. Everyone just ends up lemming training anyways. So the fighters, because they are not interceptor fighters, that means that they can still spot enemies of radius of 2 kilometers. And our submarine, you can see here, is trying to cap. He does end up getting spotted by the fighters eventually, same as our destroyer. And this is all happening because no one is ASWing the fighters to pull them away. These fighters do last a while, especially if they're invested into. The radius is quite large, and it's a huge threat to everyone, especially for the carrier, because the carrier can't even help you if the Essex is just there doing whatever she can or whatever she wants. You see that she's laying down a smoke screen. That could be for the Austin. That could be for the Brisbane. There's another fighter being placed on top of the Shimakaze now. So there's nothing that I can do to help them. There's nothing that she can really do. She has to smoke and run away. I do spam ping the guy, and it's just, I don't know. It's just lack of knowledge, and or probably is muting the chat as well. But anyways, enough about that. You do see that we do start focusing the north side. The Napoli and the Montana are the biggest threats here. Shimakaze is also a threat, but there's no reason for me to chase the Shimakaze and try to spot it out. I'll just let the Gearing handle that. Gearing does end up going on a cross country world tour all over the map to find the Shimakaze, which I do feel kind of bad for, but my focus is on these larger ships here. Because if I spot this Napoli, if I spot this Montana, that puts them at a large risk of taking heavy fire from my teammates. We have Kremlin, Poison, Yamato. These are all ships that have overmatch and very heavy shells. So me just doing this is, even if I do miss some of my attacks, is still contributing to because my fighter that I placed there is still spotting. Every single strike basically forces the enemy ship to turn and try to dodge the incoming shells and the incoming carrier salvos. Now, for me, I do start thinking quite a bit of when should I really focus the B cap side, because obviously they lost that flank, right? It doesn't really take any type of smart individual to really realize that that flank is lost. So one thing I do notice is when I place my fire down, we caught the Essex out of position. Essex decided to come to our strong side for some reason. Maybe thought that it will be better for them to support their weak flank, which is not generally what you want to be doing as a carrier. If your flank is winning, you generally want to push with them. It's just a big decision making on the carrier's end because it can go both ways. A lot of things of should you help the losing flank, should you help the winning flank? It's just a trade off, and it's just what can you do, right? In this case, Essex made a major mistake because first of all, Essex has no armor. Essex has no tools to really get out of the situation other than smoke themselves. And it seems like they used all their smoke screens on the Brisbane, or you see down there on the south cap. So she's trying to get away, but we already have the Kremlin and the Yamato. I chunk a huge portion of Essex HP with the torpedoes there. We have Kremlin and Yamato just going, just having fun with this Essex. Nothing that Essex could really do because we dropped our own fighter. Essex messed up by not placing the fighter closer to mine to remove the spotting. And it seems like he doesn't even have any smoke screens left. So, and that salvo should be enough to kill him. And it does. Yep. There we go. Enemy carrier dead. 7 minutes in. Huge gain for us. We find the Shimikaze. That's one of the Shimikazes. Gearing is still chasing the other Shimikaze up north. And for me, my focus is looking at the Napoli and the Montana. They're always on my mind. But after this strike on the Napoli, I noticed Wisconsin is pushing very hard. And instead of going around the cap, he's going inside the cap. And this is a major mistake on his end because in this state of the game, essentially the map basically rotated, right? It rotated 90 degrees. So everyone is on a different position now. And now the caps, the spawns are, the strong sides are basically southwest and northeast. So Wisconsin is definitely going to be stuck in a crossfire now. You see Venezia, Shimikaze torpedoes, Kremlin Yamato threat, Hindenburg HE spam, and me being able to just focus down the Wisconsin. Wisconsin's anti-air is fairly potent, especially with the fact that it has defensive fire. And it also regenerates quite quickly with this help of this funny button that it gets. So we have to kill the Wisconsin immediately because it can spam heals. And she's in a very good spot now. So obviously you got to play the waiting game. I do notice that she does pop the DFAA. So what I try to do is just drop a fighter here just so I can keep track of when the DFAA is going to be off. That's a little thing that you can do is drop the fighter there, barely outside of anti-air range. So once the plane hovers near their anti-air radius, you can see the red the red lines and such if the DFAA is still active or not. See, it's still active right now, but I noticed that our Kremlin is very broadside, and there is a thunder on the very corner southwest of that map. So I just had a hunch that it's just gonna be clapped out. So if he keeps reversing like this, he's definitely going to get clapped out. So I have to make a move. See, Schlieffen is very close as well. And the Kremlin is still broadside. And there he goes. Okay. Goodbye, Kremlin. The game now, it's 475, 565. We are now down a ship compared to the enemy. It's a very, very close game. But one of the big thing is we have a carrier advantage. They do not. So they lack the permanent spotting. They lack the control that we have. Wisconsin is stuck in a crossfire, burning. So thankfully he does start reversing, and we can finish him off with these rockets. So a little tip for Nakhimov, how to really line up your drops. You really, really, really want to practice leading and predicting the enemy's movement with your rockets. Your rockets are a huge portion of your damage early to mid-game. And especially on ships that are slower moving, larger ships, your rockets are a huge tool to your damage dealing. all throughout the game, prioritizing them mainly early to mid game. Late game, though, mainly going to be using your torpedo bombers on ships that are going to be stuck in a crossfire so you can land those easy drops, or ships that are, again, very slow and not very maneuverable. The Nakhimov is all about leading your target properly, planning ahead your strike, because you only get one strike per flight, right? So that's the tricky thing about the Soviet carriers. On top of that, the Nakhimov has a very large citadel, just like the Malta. So while Essex lacks the armor, Nakhimov has a huge citadel that pretty much anything that looks at it just makes it go explode, right? Anything with a decent caliber shell, it just dies. That's why for Soviet carriers, you generally wanna hold up by like an island, a bit up close, and just hold up by an island. So that way you can use your plane's boosters off of the launch, and you can really close the gap fairly quickly. So you can see here, I'm trying to battle with autopilot, get as close as possible without having to use my manual controls, because I do want to stop automatically. And so Schlieffen's pushing into me. That's a threat. Submarines basically in the cap, also a threat. Shimakaze is uncontested, and the Montana is pushing back in with Napoli. 8 minutes left. 8 minutes 50 seconds rather. So I do go ahead and drop a rocket strike on the Montana. Notice that he did slow down, so we do line up that drop fairly easily. He is on a permafire, and we use our rockets again on the Schlieffen. Schlieffen is also slowing down, so proper leading, proper aiming, letting the reticle aim down all the way really helps out with these strikes here. Okay, good night, and good night again. If the poison didn't take that kill, it probably would have been a double strike. I don't know what this Thunder is doing shooting the island like that. But now the game is fairly it's pretty much won at this point. There's nothing that they can really do. Submarine can only do so much with my permanent spotting with my fighters there. Gearing gets an idea of where the submarine is at. I can just go just have fun with this Thunder now because it's a lone Thunder. The Austin is not even with the Thunder anymore. I don't know why. If the Austin was closer to the Thunder, like right where that rock is on the other side of the submarine, definitely I wouldn't be able to get my strikes off, and Austin just basically just has to play the waiting game and just negate my strikes, right? Because if he sits in that position, it basically means I have to force to strike the Napoli, which is not a very optimal target right now. So Austin just sitting there, not using his anti-air at all. I don't know what he's doing, but thank you to the the Austin. Basically allowed me to get free strikes off and just kill this Thunder for free. There's nothing that he can really do. 15 rocket hits at this lane in the game, past the saturation, 12k. We're just hammering this guy down. Now, I just got an email. Anyways, so we have 173k, basically trying to secure this win now. Austin, stuck in a crossfire. What can you do against a Soviet carrier? This is where the Soviet carrier can just launch and drop its ordnance for free. Getting targets at its broadsides and getting targets who are also in the crossfire, this just makes the world so it makes your life so much easier. But yeah, basically just as a Soviet carrier, you want to really take your decision making to the next level. It's a much more difficult because you only have one strike, but you have a larger alpha in that strike. So lining up the drops properly, leading the ship properly, planning ahead, and position your carrier a bit more aggressively so that when mid-game, late game comes, you can do stuff like this. I'm going to be having just a fun time with this Napoli. You see here, I keep my boosters and I go hard left to drop the torpedo squadron here. There's large torpedoes in the squad. Release them this way. I'll launch my torpedo squadron again, flying to the right side to basically get his next side angle. This basically ensures that he is going to beach if he tries to turn in, which he does, but I didn't think he was going to beach, so that's why I lit way too far. I was like, oh, no. If I just went for it in the very beginning instead of slowing my planes down, it would have probably landed a few torps here. But now I go ahead with another torpedo strike, get his hard right side, and I drop more torpedoes. This basically forces him to just turn his ship all the way now, because now he's just going to be stuck in a crossfire. Venezia, Hindenburg, Shimakaze salvos. Preußen is going to be around the corner. So now, because I basically ensured that this Napoli is going to be turning, guaranteed turning, I launched my rockets to get the broadsides. And if the torpedoes never killed him here, he would have died to my rockets on this next strike. So now, trying to find the Shimakaze. During this stage, I'm looking at the mini map to see when my planes get spotted. So she's either going to be on the far south side of the map, or she's basically going to be behind me. And so what I try to do here is to basically try to find the Shimakaze where she could be, because my planes were spotted. Now they're dark, and now I noticed, oh, okay, Shimakaze is not in the south side of the map. Shimakaze is on the east side of the map, because I'm also RPF'd. You see a little indicator on the top right? Now I'm spotted. Okay, so this basically guarantees she's behind me. Something that you can really do when trying to find a destroyer and there's no other enemy ships nearby is look at your plane's concealment, which is 10 kilometers for a majority of the squadrons in the game. And when your planes do get spotted at that moment, you can basically just predict where the enemy ship is going to be. And a cool little drop, this final drop here as we're coming to the end of the game. The do a little bit of a leading on this Shimakaze like that, dropping it on the third line, and we do take the win. But yeah, there's the Nakhimov game. Nakhimov does take a little bit of a practice, positioning, leading, aiming down the reticle, not moving your cursor around so much so it keeps wiggling the reticle, enlarging it. It's basically about patience. A lot of patience involved and decision making. But yeah, 214K, 15 torpedo hits, 28 bombs, 125 rockets. Jesus Christ. And we got a Kraken. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much the end of this video. 17 minutes in. So we do get a Kraken. Pretty good. And yeah, I mean, I'll see you guys in the next one. Here's your Nakhimov game. Peace.